Now, part 4. This is my favorite of all. And this is, guys, this is the simplest, but I think the hardest to get because let's just say that skills can be taught. Okay, you can say step 1, do this, step 2, now do that. If you follow these steps in order by step 10, for example, you should achieve this. If you don't achieve that, trace back your steps. Where did you go wrong? Oh, you didn't do it properly in step 7. So you go back, you do step 7 again, then step 8, 9, 10. You should arrive at the same answer as everyone else. But work ethics and professionalism, I'm going to admit, this is not something that people can teach easily. But I'm going to say it here anyway, right? I did not write this down. If you attended the first training, you will not have seen this during the first training, but I realize I'm gonna have to put this down. Okay, because for example, I mentioned earlier that I required people to go through an aptitude test in order to apply as a VA through Kita Kita. And I've got answers, which, guys, you've got Google, okay? And I've got answers that say, oh, I couldn't find so and so area, so they've left it blank. Seriously? And you want to apply for as a virtual assistant? You couldn't get on Google? And by the way, other people who've sent in their applications, they had no trouble finding it. They didn't say I couldn't find this area. No, they have replies. They've got answers, okay? So for me, that was quite revealing. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna run the second training, second edition of this 3-day training. I better mention exactly what kind of attitudes I'm looking for. Okay, so I wrote down my core cultural values of Kita Kita. So this is mine. And if you want to apply through me as a virtual assistant, these same values need to be adopted by you as well. Okay. Number 1 is communication. The thing that I hear often with Filipino virtual assistants is that they don't communicate enough. Okay. Whether they're not communicating because the load, the amount of work that they've been given is too much for them to handle. And so the thing that they do is they just disappear. Okay, this happens time and time and again. Thankfully, it's not happened under my watch with Kita Kita. Probably because without me having communicated it, they understand that in order for me to keep the Filipino brand of virtual assistants preserved, that everyone has their role in making sure that they don't ruin it for everyone else. Because if we don't watch this, pretty soon Filipino VAs will just have the reputation that they just disappear. I'm just going to skip slides, okay? So there we go. So go on to YouTube, type in why do Filipino VAs disappear? Isn't it horrifying that this is a topic on YouTube? This like specific string of words. Why do Filipino VAs disappear? I will let you guys answer that, okay? So do go on to YouTube. I think Filipino VAs disappear because they lack the skills of communication. If Filipinos are able to communicate without necessarily getting emotional about things, and just for them to express what's on their mind and how they're feeling, then problems can be avoided because problems can be addressed early on. Okay. So
Right.
for me, the number one value that
That
all of these, I am going to insist that people have, okay? Like I said earlier, I cannot teach these skills. You must have them already. I can say it's good for me to communicate what these are so that you can identify and say, yeah, I don't have that or I need to work on that. Then you know, okay? So, number one is communication, right? I think that's pretty much self explanatory. The second one is resourcefulness. Now, as a virtual assistant, you are working for somebody who's not in the same room as you. Sometimes you cannot immediately contact these people. Okay, your boss, they're not responding by emails or they've given you an instruction and there's a few missing pieces of instructions there, not because they've missed it out but because they didn't realize that once they start communicating it on by email, for example, that there's some things that when you see it on your side, the instructions look incomplete, okay, because they might be assuming things that they didn't realize you didn't know, right? But guys, there's Google. I mean, what more can I say, right? You as a VA will never be given a job that you cannot do online. And that's the whole simplistic um, conclusion here, okay? That every job that will be given to you is a job that can be done online. That's why you're called a virtual assistant, okay? So, at the very least, if you don't know what resourcefulness means, you know what Google is. Google something, right? Don't uh, don't drop things just because you don't know. If you don't know and Google hasn't got the answer, I don't know how or why, then go back to core value number one, communicate. Email back your client and say, thanks for this instruction. Can I just ask you a question about this, right? So be resourceful, even if it's um, resourcefulness in terms of going back to your core value number one. Where can I get the information? Google's not telling me. I better go back to my client and ask, right? Resourcefulness, guys. It's really, if you haven't got resourcefulness, please do not apply as a virtual assistant because the client who you're working for, these are not big companies. They haven't got departments that handle this or departments that do that. It's a one-man band generally. It's a, like I mentioned at the start, these people are solopreneurs. They've never hired anybody, and the last thing they want is someone who's halfway across the globe, who's pretty much quite incompetent and cannot be delegated to. Okay, so what I'm saying is you can't be a VA unless you can communicate well and you can be resourceful because you're on your own pretty much. Okay. We've got here integrity, professionalism, and excellence. Now, integrity, what does this have to do with being a virtual assistant? This client has to send everything to you. I'm just going to mute people. Okay. I think everyone's muted. Thank you very much. Okay, so for the people who just joined us right now, you might have missed the beginning of this section. What I was talking about is the core cultural values of Kita Kita. I'm discussing things, these are specific things, okay? And this is black and white. You cannot apply through Kita Kita if you haven't got these qualities, okay? These are my core cultural values that I know I'm confident and I can say I've got these and I want you guys to have them too. You can't even apply as a virtual assistant and function as a virtual assistant excellently without these values. And the first one is communication. You as a VA, you are not in the same room as your client. You are in um, in a different country. You are You are working virtually, that's why you're called a virtual assistant. And therefore, it might be so easy to think that, okay, the boss is not talking to me, everything must be okay, right? Or the boss can be thinking the same thing. My VA is not communicating with me, she must be getting on with work without any problems. But that might not be what's actually happening. The VA could actually have a ton of questions, but she's too shy to ask, she's too shy to approach the client. And what happens is, you can be overworked, you can be overstressed, right? And then what do? You just disappear. I was showing this slide to the other people in the room. So for those who just joined, I'll show you this. Go onto YouTube and type in "why do Filipino VAs disappear?" It's really a horrible reputation to have, guys. Okay, communicate. Don't use your shyness as an excuse that you will not communicate with your clients about an issue, about a question, about something that you need to clarify or that's troubling you. Just communicate. I'm not saying divulge your personal secrets or whatnot. No, just in a professional manner, okay? If you've got personal issues that affect your professional performance, then yes, mention it. You say, for example, my mother's in a hospital, she's got COVID, can I please take the next couple of days off, or whatever it is, right? Then yes, by all means, you can say that bit. But what I'm trying to say is that you must have and understand the notion of how communicating and communicating well is going to help your performance as a virtual assistant. Okay. Second is resourcefulness. Do not give up at the first instance of not being able to achieve something. Okay. If you were delegated to a task to do, and for example, to research on something, let's say to find solicitors in Birmingham, whatever, okay, and that was the only instruction. What do you do? Huh, I don't even know what solicitors mean. I don't know where Birmingham is. What do I do, right? Do you not do it because you don't know? No. First of all, the first thing that you can do is clarify the instructions. So let's go back to communication. The second thing that you can do is, if you're really, really shy and you think, right, can we do do this task on our own first before we approach our client? Yes, that's fine. I'm absolutely happy with that kind of attitude. Then be resourceful. Go onto Google, type it in. There's so many things that Google can address before you even approach your client. Okay. There's also, by the way, over communication. Um, so if you've got a question, try asking Google first, and then if really it cannot be answered by Google, then go back to your client. Okay. Now integrity. Um, Sorry, I just had to repeat the first two because people joined in, and I want to make sure that I get these every single entry here in the cultural values pinned down and understood by everybody. Okay, integrity. This is the reason why I asked for an NBI clearance. First of all, from everybody, I understand it's harder to get an NBI clearance these days. So if you've got a, I think someone mentioned like a police clearance, that's fine. Okay, I will accept that, but I will ask for your NBI clearance later on. Okay. These people who will be hiring you as a virtual assistant are people who have let you in inside their homes even though they've not met you. The 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 the, the least that I can do for these clients is to do a criminal background check on you, but that does not really mean total security. Okay, these clients are going to be giving you passwords, they're going to be giving you details of their own customers and clients, They will be giving you details of projects that um, might might need to not be disclosed to the media, for example, or posted on social media. There is no way that people can actually monitor you and shackle you, prevent you from doing things that's going to hurt their business. So you need to have integrity on your own by yourself to begin with. Like I said, these are not skills that I can teach you and say, step one, do this, step two, and step three. If you haven't got integrity, I cannot teach this to you. I can only say that you must have integrity before you can even apply through Kita Kita as a virtual assistant. Okay. Um, Now, professionalism and excellence are kind of related, but one is an attitude and a mindset, and the other is just the output. Okay. So excellence would be the output, the kind of work that you deliver and show to clients. um, it's the kind of performance that you accomplish during your work as a virtual assistant. And professionalism is that kind of mindset that helps you achieve excellence. Okay, so professionalism is the attitude and the mindset. The excellence part is the output, what kind of work you're actually delivering and accomplishing for clients. Okay, I'm just gonna let a few more people in. Okay, guys, for those who's just joined, what I just went through are the core cultural values of Kita Kita. I'm not gonna repeat them now here, but I'm just gonna say, can everyone please take a screenshot or screen grab of the core cultural values of Kita Kita, right? Um, Everyone will have to go through an aptitude test before they can apply as a VA, because I want to make sure that you have understood what you'll be learning in the next 3 days. But also during the aptitude test, I will see how resourceful you are. And that's probably among all of these things the only thing that um, I can actually see, right? And see evidence of. The rest, I don't know how you communicate. I don't know if you have integrity and how professional you are and if you deliver work excellently. But at the very least, I can see resourcefulness, right? So I'm going to move the slide shortly in about a few seconds. So please take a screenshot of this list of core cultural values. Okay, I'm just going to be muting people who's just come in. Okay, let's move on. I mentioned to people who are in for those who just joined, I mentioned that everyone should go onto YouTube and type in, why do Filipino VAs disappear? Okay. I do not want any VA who applies through me to disappear. It's so shameful that this happens, and it's so shameful that this is a thing on YouTube, right? Um, my my short answer why Filipino VAs disappear is that they do not communicate well. They really don't. They do not tell their bosses that they're too stressed. They do not tell their bosses that they don't understand something, that there's an instruction that they got wrong, and so they feel so shameful that they made a mistake at work. Communication, guys, okay? So how do we solve this? Go back to my core values. Communicate, okay? Okay, so I know this picture is so drama, but I just want to emphasize that for the sake of all Filipinos aspiring to be virtual assistants, please, guys, don't disappear. Don't ruin it for everyone else. because already we have this reputation that Filipino VAs disappear. So let's turn that around, guys. We can do it. We can dispel this myth. Well, let's make it a myth, in fact, okay? Because it's not true. We don't want to be known as the VAs who disappear, right? Okay, so I have here on the screen some email templates that you guys can use. Take a screenshot again. These are some of the things that you can use to communicate with your bosses. Okay, you don't understand something, you've got, you think the instructions are not clear, you need to clarify something, or you just might want to, report that you're online and ready for work because imagine a person who's never hired a VA before, any employee, on your first day of work, we are 8 hours, you guys are 8 hours ahead of us, so we're 8 hours behind. That means you woke up 8 hours before we wake up here in the UK. So imagine if your boss, first day of work, he opens up his email and then there you go. Hi, boss. I'm online. Let me know what you'd like me to work on today. Sign your name. Diba? Really good first impression. You're there, you're ready, and you're waiting. Okay? But what if you don't? You're just kind of waiting. When is my boss gonna email me? Right? Your boss might actually email you. But isn't it just more impressive and professional uh, if you did it before you were asked to? As we say in the Philippines, wait, I hope I'm saying this correctly because I'm Ilonggo. I'm not. Tagalog is my second language. Inunahan mo siya, right? So you had the the presence of mind. You have the professional mindset to have communicated before you're even asked to. Okay, so you could also say, oh, I'm just giving you a quick report of what I'm working on this morning or what I worked on this morning. I managed to do this, right, guys? Even if it's not a complete work, okay? You've not finished it. That's okay. Just give a progress report, okay? Also, it gives you a chance to be asking questions while you're completing something. Because imagine if you spend the whole day working on something tapos mali. But if you do a progress report and in between you ask a question, please can you have a look? Is this okay? Have I done it correctly? Then you get the chance to not waste your time and actually, impress your boss even more, right? Finally, you've got here. Thanks for the instruction. I'll work on it straight away. By the way, may I clarify so and so and so, right? So copy this, save this as a template, save it as, a notepad or a text file, and open it when you next want to communicate with your client or, if you're already working for someone right now. Okay. Okay, I'm going to give you a few more minutes to save the file and then I'll move on to the next slide. Oh, here's a really, really fantastic tip for problem solving. If you've attended the first round of training, this one was not included in my first edition of the 3-day training. This is something that I remembered that I learned while going through a leadership seminar last year for something else. Okay, it's a problem solving tip. Okay. Now this works really well for virtual assistants because you're not in the same room, in the same office, in the same country as the person you're working for. Okay. And it's this, the tip is this. Ask yourself, what can I do in the next 5 minutes to dot dot dot, whatever the question is, whatever the issue or the problem is. Okay, what can I do in the next 5 minutes in order to say find out where this file is, where this document is. Okay, this relates to resourcefulness, guys. Okay, if you can answer this question, remember, what can I do? It's not what can the boss help me with, or what can um, what can someone else do, your office mate, whatever, do. No, it's you. You're asking yourself, what can I do? Not what can you do? What can he do? What can I do? What can I do in the next, not tomorrow, not tonight? Okay. Sure. Okay. 5 minutes is a bit of an arbitrary number. I just put 5 minutes because it's kind of short enough in order for you to do it immediately. But if you know, you can adjust the 5 minutes, of course, if it's something that you really need to think over. It could be, okay, what can I do tomorrow morning? Or what can I do after lunch or after my break? It's fine, okay? So what can I do in the next short period of time to solve the problem? Memorize this question, guys. You, as a virtual assistant, are going to be that much more in an elevated level if you solve problems on your own, if you're resourceful. Okay? Even if the answer is, you have the answer that the next in the next 5 minutes, if you just tell your boss about something, if you admit to your boss that something's happened, great, right? You are okay, you may not be solving the problem straight away, but at least you're preventing the problem from getting bigger. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. Save the question, type it in somewhere, or take a screenshot. But that's it, guys. What can I do in the next 5 minutes in order to solve the issue? Okay.